Ready? I hereby call this meeting to order. This budget hearing, Tuesday, July 23rd, 2019, and at this time, I will call on the superintendent's designee to read the statement.
Thank you. In accordance with section 200.065, chapter 1010, and chapter 1011 of Florida statutes, I'm submitting the proposed tentative balanced budget for the 2019-2020 school year, and I'm recommending the proposed millage to be levied. The purpose of today's meeting is to approve the 1920 proposed tentative budget and proposed millage for advertising, and to set the time, date, and place for the first public hearing on our budget. That meeting will be Tuesday, 30th, 2019 at 5:05 in the school board meeting room. Rhonda?
It's good to have you back, Miss Odom.
Thank you. It's good to take a little vacation.
Famous world traveler.
I dreaded it when I came back and had to stay up here till 10 o'clock every night for 5 nights straight, including Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Laura, for
Glad you had a
reading the
vacation.
statement. Yes. Does anybody need a hard copy, or everybody got them? I brought some extras
I think
just
we're all
in case.
we're all
I
good.
think we all have one.
Okay. As Laura mentioned, the purpose of today's meeting is to follow trim guidelines and to request approval to advertise the tentative balanced budget in the newspaper. The 3 documents that you have in front of you are what will actually be placed in the newspaper on Saturday. We will publish a notice of budget hearing that will notify the general public of our first public hearing on the budget on July 30th at 5:05 p.m. We will publish a notice of tax for school capital outlay, and we will publish a budget summary ad. And so I'll briefly talk to you about the 3 different documents. The first is a notice of budget hearing, because we are again proposing a millage rate that is lower than the rollback millage rate. We do not have to publish a notice of proposed tax increase like we had to last year, just a notice of budget hearing.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and pass out the rollback handout that you can all look at. And the rollback rate is the millage rate that it would take to bring revenues into the district the same amount as we received last year, excluding the effects of any new construction. Our rollback rate is 5.8709, and our 2019-2020 millage rate is 5.869. This is a reduction of 0.0019 mills from the rollback rate. And from page 2 of this millage handout, you can see that from our actual millage last year versus what we're proposing for this year, it's a reduction of 0.286 mills. That entire reduction is once again totally attributable to the legislature lowering our required local effort. Now, this 5.8690 mills that we're proposing levying will bring in roughly 99.97% of the funds generated from last year's 6.155 mills.
That's due primarily to increased property values.
That's correct. And if you'll look at page 3 of this handout, you'll see that a property owner, let's just choose one, and I always choose 100,000 for some reason, which seems pretty
Reasonable.
good for Putnam.
Yeah.
A property owner who sees the value of his home remain the same would see a decrease in the taxes owed to the school district of $21.45. Now, they may see an increase from other taxing authorities, but the school district has reduced yet again, as we have been doing for several years now. I can remember when our millage rates were up in the 7s and 8s even,
Right.
since I've been here, and they've just every year gone down. We've been one of the taxing authorities in the county that has not raised our rate for many, many, many years.
I remember.
Okay, the second item being advertised in the paper is the notice of tax for school capital outlay. It mentions that we are once again considering levying the 1.5 mil for capital outlay. You'll remember years ago that used to be 2 mils, but it's been 1.75 for several years. And we have to advertise how we might possibly spend this money. We don't have to do everything on the list, but if it's not on the list, we cannot spend that money that way.
That's correct.
Now, overall, this 1.5 mills will bring in $6,189,707 to the district for capital needs. We're once again looking at funding the maintenance department at $3.6 million, providing the schools with discretionary capital outlay dollars of $400,000. By statute, we're paying an allowed portion of our property insurance of $503,095.47. Overall, we pay $1.6 million for insurance for the district, but the statute tells us we can do so much per student and everything, so that's the allowed amount. We're paying the current year portion of our master purchase agreements on the buses that we did last year, and current year portion of our master purchase agreement on the energy retrofit loan. We're providing welding machines for Palatka High and Interlochen High. We're proposing now, I'm saying we are doing this, but that's what I've built into the budget based on needs that have been sent to me.
Well, you know, technically, also the good part of that is we can use our welding machines if we need to weld something. So.
That's correct. We are purchasing 2 ESE buses, 2 transportation and 1 media vehicle, providing GPS and computer systems for our buses, overhauling the intercom systems. Lennon from media requested that to prepare for a hurricane. I think there was some actual problems last hurricane, so that's one of the things he requested. And we're providing the balance of those funds for other district maintenance, renovation, and repair needs above those that our maintenance department can handle on their own with the staff that they have. The third and final document that you have in front of you is our budget summary ad. It's the entire budget of the district brought down to one-page level. As you can see from the ad, I like to focus on the general fund. We have special revenue, which includes school food service and other federal grants, and a lot of those federal grants are not in here yet because we haven't received the award letters, and we do not put them in until we actually received approved award letters. Debt service is just some outstanding SBE bonds that it's getting lower and lower because we've been making the payments on those, and we're about got those taken care of. Capital projects is just what we were discussing. It involves the new money coming in and the amounts that we have left over currently. Internal services is the NEFECT funds. Permanent funds is the Gilbert and Weeks. That's the only 2 permanent funds that we have, and those are both for the Crescent City schools. And the enterprise funds are also NEFECT. So I do want to call your attention to the general fund. You'll see right up here that the fund balance net position as of July 1st, we have a carryover fund balance of $10,830,875.17. That sounds really, really high, but I'm going to break it down for you. I'll pass this out. I always give you this sheet.
I would say that our financial director is doing a good job.
Is it 2 pages, Ronto?
No, it's just
1 page.
Oh, I think you've got, I'm sorry, I've given you part of my next handout. Let me see if I can find it. Andrea made me copies.
That's the problem, Andrea.
That's the problem. I've only got,
He's too busy calling me, telling me to
That's
be
right.
here.
I'm so sorry, that looks like the only copy
She
of
only
that I
called me
have.
twice.
I can find some in,
Really?
but I can definitely tell you what it amounts to, and be sure
I'll
you
give it
have
to Bud.
copies
I'm
at the
good.
next.
Rhonda has some wiggle room, but if you don't list what you got, you get
Here they are.
problems.
So Andrea didn't mess up, Rhonda did. Just have them in a different spot than a stack she'd given me. Okay, so let's break down that $10,830,000. And you'll see that we have a reserve for project balances within the general fund. That's state carryover projects. It'd be like the reading grant, instructional materials, safe schools if there were any left, mental health,
Right.
things along those lines. So we have $1.7 million left in projects. We have a reserve for encumbrances. That was purchase orders that haven't been finalized yet within the general fund of $791,000. I noticed that's way up from last year. It was only about $240,000 last year. We got a reserve for inventory, $476,000. So that's of course not not a cash item. We've got our 3% mandated unreserved fund balance from last year of $2.4 million, and we've got an unreserved rollback to the pot after the year has closed of $5.3 million. Now, this is what we begin the new budget year with. So after we've incorporated this June 30th fund balance and include all budgeted revenues and expenditures for the next year, you'll see that I'm estimating $4,770,287.13 as my June 30th, 2020 year-end fund balance.
Yeah, and
That amount is on that one-page handout down here at the bottom, the 4 point, and that's an estimated figure. The figure at the top, the 10 million, is an actual figure, and then we're just estimating how we're going to end the year.
And you're projecting that even with pulling out the 2% next year for the,
Yes.
well, it's a good deal.
I budgeted reserves for the FEFP cut for McKay scholarships. That will happen. I budgeted for a prior year FTE audit, of about $25,000. There's always, when they come and do the audits, they audit transportation, they audit HR, and whether teachers are teaching in field and things like that. So there's always a little ding every year, so we budget for that. I budgeted for a possible FTE shortfall due to student count. You'll remember last year we got hit with 100 students down in the October count, and we had budgeted for a set aside, so that helped us. I budgeted a reserve for possible proration of funds, and I budgeted for our required 3% fund balance. That amount changes a little bit every year because it's 3% of recurring revenues, and our revenues did go up this year based on the increase we got from the legislature and a few other things. Now, of course, we're expecting the project balances. One reason that this amount is so much lower than the $10 million beginning, we're expecting the project balances listed in the June 30th balance to be totally paid out by the end of the year. We're expecting those encumbrances to be received and paid out, and those two items alone amounted for about $2.5 million in our beginning fund balance. We gave out the 1% raise last fiscal year in June. That was retro for the whole year, and then we gave another 2% on July 1, which really increased the new year budgets by 3%. We gave our New Year's budget from the state was not enough to cover the cost of the raises. So, we were going to have to take some from the fund balance that we built up over the last couple of years. The retirement rate contributions went up for all classes this year. And we budgeted a little extra for gas and diesel and utilities because those rates have been on the rise some. We provided the automatic level raises for classified and our instructional based on our current salary schedules, and those go into effect on everyone's starting date. A lot of people July 1 this year, and then the teachers when they come in. And we budgeted for our normal board and district initiatives. The totality of the current projected reserves for June 30th is a 5.5% financial condition ratio. And even if we have to take some of those reserves, I mean, we know we'll lose the McKay, and if we're down some students or if there's a cut, I still expect the lowest that our fund balance condition ratio would be at June 30th would be 4.5% financial. If we don't have the loss of students in the proration, projecting that 5.5 as I mentioned. At the first public hearing on the budget that's scheduled for Tuesday, July 30th at 5:05 p.m., if you all will like, we'll go into much greater detail on the budget. I'll have the booklet that shows everything broken out by function, object, cost center, and everything. And I'll provide some additional, quite a few additional printouts that I do every year that shows where everything is being proposed to be spent. You'll have the chance at that meeting to amend the budget in any way you see fit or leave it as is. And at that meeting next Tuesday, we will set the time and place for the final public hearing on the budget. And the last thing I want to leave you with is this is just for you to look at your convenience. We won't even discuss it or anything today. You can bring it back at the next meeting and ask questions if you want. But this is how I start the budgeting process for the general fund, because that's the one that takes the most of the time and everything and getting all that done. It's just a total breakdown by different sources of revenue, transfers in, fund balance categories, and all of our expenditures broken down into salary, benefits, different categoricals, charter school payments, utilities, our different initiatives, and things like that. And it all shows the percentage used of our recurring revenue. So if you have any questions in looking at this, call or email me or come by or bring the questions up next Tuesday when we meet again. It can sort of help prepare you for that tentative meeting. If things go according to the way it usually happens, there probably won't be any public here to discuss it, but, you know, using this and anything else that you might need from me
we've been
before that time, let me know
we've
and
been
we'll be
surprised
prepared.
before,
We have
yeah.
we have been surprised. And I guess as today's meeting is really only to seek permission to advertise those initial 3 documents in the newspaper, which will come out on Saturday, I'm seeking your approval to place the 3 documents in the Palatka Daily News to be published on Saturday, and that's all I have for you today.
You don't ascend to be the president of the financial directors of the state of Florida and all the good things that you've done, Rhonda, without being sharp enough to keep us wiggle room and ways to find more than one way to skin a cat, and I appreciate everything you do all the time.
Appreciate the kind words, Dave.
So I guess at this time, I would like to, I will poll the board, which I can do in a board meeting, and District
1.
District 1,
Advertise.
District 2, advertise. District 3, District 4,
Advertise.
District 5. All right, advertise. Do I need to say anything else? All right, having made our decision, I'm going to call this meeting to a close. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your time.